that will serve the interests of the people of Bibb County. And I think one of the strongest signals we can send is to include the provisions in my version regarding the homestead exemptions. To say to property owners, you're not going to be facing uncertainty with respect to your property values. You're going to know that your value, based in 2010, the base year, or if you buy a piece of property, a home in Bibb County, following the enaction of this new charter, whatever you pay for that property is going to be the base for determining your property value for property taxes. It's not going to be something that you have to worry about going forward, and that base will be recalculated every year according to the provisions that I have placed into the charter. And that's not going to go up. Now, they can raise your taxes by raising the millage rate, but then you're going to know what they're doing. There's not going to be a backdoor way of, with a great deal of uncertainty. They're going to have to go before the voters and make their case about raising your taxes through raising the millage rate rather than all of this confusion that we've had about property taxes. So,
Senator, this is something I hadn't thought about until I read about the reconstitution of boards, but when you get rid of Macon and Bibb County, all those boards, the UDA, the DDA, they all no longer exist because the government they flow from no longer exists, right?
well, there are some provisions in the charter for the continuation of certain things, and Alan, you may know a little bit more about that than I do, but when I saw that, as I read the charter, I just want to make sure they do have to publicly deal with this issue, because look, we've all been around government a while. You know, it's hard to change because every person on those boards or commissions or agencies all have a constituency, and so it's very hard. It's just easier to do nothing, let things ride. I don't think the status quo is what the people want. I think if we're going to do this, they've got to take the hard stand and eliminate duplications.
Yeah, but which ones stay then, and which ones would have to be reconstituted?
I think there are provisions in the charter that all existing agencies would continue on a going forward basis, I believe. And, I think
it's very hard to wipe all of that out, Travis, in one fell swoop, because a lot of those things are tied to all kinds of other issues with the federal government in some cases, funding, bonding, as you've suggested. So
Okay.
It's got to be studied and done properly.
Okay. What happens to salaries as you merge, particularly the police department and the sheriff's department? Is there a leveling of salaries, or how does that work?
This does not deal with that in any specifics, does it?
No, it does not. That was some of the intent of having a 2-year transition from November of 2010 to 2012 to do the studies that's needed. There's a provision, I believe, in there for a transition team that's going to be put in place to study a lot of those issues, and so a lot of the arguments we've gotten that this is too fast, this clearly is not, because you've got a good window of opportunity if the voters support it and vote for it in November of 2010 to make the transition in November of 2012.
Do you still need a tax assessor's office with the way you've got the freeze?
Well, I mean, someone has to still process it and that kind of thing, so there would have to be.
And new development that comes
That's
on,
correct.
you're going to have to assess the value of that property
Right.
as well. So.
That's correct. And the state does require certain activity. I'm not an expert on this, but
the state property.
right. But this allows everything to be reset. You do that, you fulfill those requirements, but it gets reset.
And I'll make a comment on that. I applaud Senator Staten for moving forward. This is very forward thinking. I think it's a great idea. The elected officials in our community may not like it, but I guarantee you the citizens of our community, the property owners, the homeowners, are going to love this, and because it does get, as Senator Staten said, it does give them some stability of making sure that their property taxes are not going to go up rampantly unless elected officials increase the millage rate.
That's correct.
And you're not capping the millage rate, right?
No.
No.
I mean, there is such a thing as home rule, and you have to let them, you have to let them govern. We can't do everything for them, but we can certainly set parameters and guidelines and maybe even some walls. Keep in mind that counties exist in Georgia by constitution. Cities, however, exist at the pleasure of the General Assembly. The General Assembly creates cities. We also have a role in creating consolidated governments. And so there is a sense in which, as we move into consolidation, I mean, the city is being folded into a consolidated government for the county. And, you know, I just want the taxpayers and property owners who are footing the bill to know that someone's looking out for them in this process. That's been really my primary goal. Because I think in uncertainty around those issues lies the potential for the defeat of consolidation. And I think this is something we need to do for the economic well-being and future of Bibb County. And so I hope we'll be able to move forward. Just another word about process. I shared this last night, yesterday afternoon, because it's been a work in progress, and I literally didn't truly have even the finished maps until yesterday afternoon. But I shared this with Senator Brown. Wanted him to have it before you did. And Senator Brown is going to have to obviously share his views on what I am proposing, along with what the House has sent over to us. We have until day 40 to have sign-off in the Senate. Obviously, if we make changes, it has to go back over to the House for agree or disagree. So there's a lot of work to be done. Fortunately, however, we have 11 legislative days left, and those 11 days will probably take at least 3 or 4 weeks, it looks like, from this point. So we have time to do this. I don't want anyone to think this can't be done. But, you know, let me be candid. When I came into this session, this was not my first priority. I had a lot of other things to deal with, the main one being the budget of the state of Georgia being on the Appropriations Committee. It has consumed a great deal of time. I'm leaving here to go to a meeting with the Appropriations Committee in just a moment. But this is important, and so I have taken a great deal of time over the last several weeks since this bill came over from the House. It is worth that time, and we all need to come together and work on this over the next 11 legislative days, 3 or 4 weeks, however long that takes, and see if we can come together and do what's best for our community.
Hi, just a couple final thoughts. And I am grateful for Senator Staten's work on this and moving it forward, and I look forward to Senator Brown's comments as well too. The original bill that I provided was from the Charter Commission, basically what the Charter Commission recommended to us from 1999. That was the intent, was to kind of get the ball rolling. Let's go with that. I think the changes that Senator Staten have made are for the most part, very good, and I probably can agree with most of them. I need to do a little more study on a couple of them, but I've done my own personal poll also through my online website, and I've gotten over up to 475 responses right now. And a lot of the comments that I've gotten are addressed by some of the changes that are made by Senator Staten. So I again applaud him for the changes that he has given. This is crucial to the future of our community. And I believe that most of the changes here will probably be well received by most of the members in the House. I can't speak for them. You have to ask them yourself. But and so I believe that Senator Brown, we can come to some resolution on any differences that he might have. I believe this is something that can move forward, and look forward to supporting it.
Thank you very much. I know we're at time point, our time limit here, but we appreciate your being here today and your interest in this important issue for our community.
Thanks, guys.